All right, we are live. What is going on, everybody? Um, just got done watching episode 4 of House of the Dragon, and man, when they said this was going to be a controversial episode, I don't know why. I mean, oh, but yeah, this episode isn't. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it. There was quite a lot of the. Oh, hey Shane, what's up, man? There was a lot of nudity in this episode, though. Like, probably more than some of the Game of Thrones episodes. Like some of the more like vulgar episodes of Game of Thrones. But it was all kind of like leading together, like it was woven into the story quite nicely. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how big of a time jump it starts out with, because at the end of the episode 3, you see Alicent she's like very pregnant, probably like 8 or 9 months. Baby's about to pop, but in this one, the baby's born. You do get to see the baby later, actually. But they used a really big baby, so I don't know how long it's supposed to be. I don't think they make any references to Aegon. I think it's a year. Okay, yeah, I can see that. Probably a year. Yeah, that sounds right, because that was not a small baby. Like usually if they're trying to do a baby, they just like have a little wrapped up baby. This was a big old baby. Probably about to start, running and crawling. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Yeah, I don't know which thing the showrunners thought was going to be the quote unquote controversial part of this. Because they do a lot of stuff. They show Daemon and Rhaenyra like making out in a brothel. They have the moon tea at the very end. I don't know. They have so much stuff that I don't know what they would perceive as the controversial thing. Like it could be because Alicent Hightower called the Targaryen traditions queer. Like that could be the thing that they see as like the worst thing in this episode, and I would be like, "Yep, that makes sense for Hollywood." Yeah, I was thinking they're gonna do something like really, really bad, but I don't know. Yeah, but it's Hollywood. They don't know what a lot of words mean. They want to, take a word and say it means like the worst possible interpretation of it. I think it's in The Hobbit that they have a chapter called Queer Lodging. I think that's the one where they meet Bjorn. And that definitely comes from the weird and not the the more modernistic interpretation. Uh, yeah, King Viserys is actually like, I don't know. He's the more we see of him, the more he's growing as a character. Like Daemon is kind of still the same character, but he's scheming and changing like what his plans are. But the series is like really coming into his like kingship, and it's kind of sad because he's gonna die pretty soon. It looks like. I think that's what they said in the trailer for the next episode. And I guess after next episode, we're doing the time jump. Yeah, like the series, and so after he finds out what Daemon did with Rhaenyra, he has him drug into the shoot, what's it called? The big empty chamber, and he like throws. He has this King's Guard like throw Daemon down, and he's like suffering from a hangover. And then the king just walks over and starts kicking him, and he finally pulls out Aegon's dagger, which has the later on you see that it has from my blood the prince that was promised will be born, and his story will be the Song of Ice and Fire. I think that's what it says, something like that. So he pulls that dagger and is like ready to kill Daemon. It's like, you and Rhaenyra are born of the same blood. You're doing nothing but like trying to ruin my rule. He's like, you don't even love my daughter. Like, that's not why you're trying to. So, did you catch the White Worm thing? She betrayed Daemon in episode 1, and now this. So, I don't know what exactly she did. I don't know. I must have missed it. And I know she like found him drunk in an alley or something. And I don't know if it's in the book. Hail, the Nerdporial life form. How you doing? But yeah, I don't know if it's in the book or not. But she came off as like a lady Varys. She is a spy mistress. Oh, she's the one who did it? I thought it was the little kid. Okay. Alright, that makes sense. I guess it was the same kid that ran to her, and then she tells Otto. Okay. The little kid gave her the money. Yeah. Yeah, I really like that this show like trusts the audience enough to just do something like this. And then you get to have fun conversations like this, and you catch something and your friend does not, and you get to like explain it to him. Yeah, there was a lot of I don't know. There was a lot of interesting dynamics in this episode. So Rhaenyra puts Sir Criston Cole on the King's Guard, which she knows like puts him off the like betrothal thing. And then she makes him break his vows this episode. I didn't like that. Like that was something that really like stuck out. That was very strange. Yeah, she was random. Okay. Um. Yeah. Um. Yeah. There's that. Uh. But I think your fate would be worse if somebody found out that you did do that. Um. Yeah. Antoine was hesitant. Messed up the last time a Kingsguard broke his vows. The last time a Kingsguard broke his vows, he was castrated and sent to the wall. Dang. Quite harsh. Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Mm. Oh, man. Shane, you're breaking out all the lore tonight. um, yeah, so King Viserys, like, I don't know, it his character seems to be that he has the Targaryen dragon in him, but he just like doesn't want to show it. He had 3 secret wives. Dang, man. Oh, but like he seems to have the like capability of like being like the other Targaryens, but he seems so hesitant to actually do it. Like he just sends Otto Hightower like out. He's just like, "Hey man, thanks for showing me how to be king, but you're biased," and just like rips the hand of the king pendant off his uh, jacket. That was actually a really like shocking moment. Um, so I talk about A Song of Ice and Fire um, whenever there's something to talk about. Like I go over and talk on Scott's channel about House of the Dragon and stuff. But I've been doing the Rings of Power episode reviews and breaking them down. I just talk about entertainment stuff. Mm. I'm probably gonna do a live stream talking about like some books and stuff because I just finished a Storm of Swords, and I really like that book. So I might talk about that at some point. But I don't know. I just talk about like shows, true stuff. Yeah. Um. Seems to. So he says something like right after his father dies. He moves in and becomes the Hand of the King, and I don't know if he said he meant it in the way of like you killed my father to for personal gain. I think oh excuse me. I think he meant it more like uh, you used the tragedy of my father dying. No, actually he does kind of leave it ambiguous when he says it, but he says like you used that to go from like some random lord in Jaehaerys court to the Hand of the King. Oh, yeah, Rings of Power is really bad. I think it might be the worst show ever, like, made. Like, there's such a weird thing because, like, you'll have this nice, like, panning shot, and then you'll have these two actors standing like half a foot apart, and they say the worst dialogue ever, like not knowing the difference between a rock and a boat, or oh man, the sea is always right. Oh. Ooh, cool. Book stream would be cool. Yeah. Um, Storm of Swords was great, the best in the series. Let me know if you want to stream. Yeah, we can certainly something up. And, you can just like hit me up on Twitter or something. I'd like that. Yeah, I went from Storm of Swords, and I was going to read Mistborn uh, in between both of them, because I don't know. I like to take a break between the Song of Ice and Fire books, just because I only get one chance to read them once. But I was like, you know what? I have the audiobook for it, and a regular copy of it. Why don't I just go ahead and listen to it? And none of the chapters have been about like John on the Wall or Daenerys in Essos, or you don't even get a Lady Stoneheart chapter or anything. You just get a bunch of like Jaime, Cersei. I think there was this, I think I've had 2 Samwell chapters, and I've had like 4 Cersei, 2 Jaime chapters, and 2 random ones in Dorne. It's like I don't know. I like the mix of all the different stories. When when it's just in like King's Landing, it doesn't feel like a Song of Ice and Fire. And the story is like at the end of Storm of Swords, it was cranked to cranked to 11, going real fast, and now it feels like he's put the brake on it, and he's too afraid to go like too fast, too far, or too fast. Go. I don't. You know what I'm trying to say. I can't say it right. It is already midnight. Let's see. Yeah, Otto went from being just a nobody, a second son, to being the second most powerful person. Actually, arguably, well, probably the most powerful, because he feels like he can sway the king, and when Viserys says that he's been hand of the king for as long as he's had the crown, it says he taught him how to be a king, so like it was probably pretty easy to sway him around. "5 days. Well, I was thinking of Mace's conspiracy." Yeah, I'm kind of surprised we haven't gotten a lot more of the Maesters like messing around. Man, I want somebody to just compile all of the different like just bad one-liners that they put in Rings of Power. Like you'd probably have like a half an hour's worth of worth of dialogue. Man, Dusty is always right. Yeah, have none of them been like shipwrecked before? Like, did none of them say like, "Hey, we're gonna sail to Middle Earth," and they just get hit with a tidal wave and like their boat flips and they all die? It's like, well, I guess they deserved it. Ooh, I appreciate it. Let's see. I'm reading Fire and Blood and listening to Lord of the Rings. yeah, I'm listening to a audio drama for Lord of the Rings right now. It's pretty good. Um, but some of the voice acting's kind of weird. Um, there was originally going to be a 5-year jump after Storm, but it didn't work for Cersei. Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of things that were supposed to happen. Like, like it was supposed to only be like 3 books, and I think there was supposed to be a love triangle between Arya, Jon, and Tyrion. I think is that right? Um, kind of weird, but yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of books do the thing where like the finale is supposed to be very like exciting and page turning. And then when you go to the next book, it starts off slow and builds back up. But it felt like seriously off with uh, A Feast for Crows. That's the next one, right? Yeah, that's right. Um, let's see, Fire and Blood. The Fire and Blood is the Targaryen family history, but the Dance of Dragons is a big part. The World of Ice and Fire, where the Princess and the Queen also cover it. So George scrapped that and wrote himself into a major corner. And while after 11 years, we're still waiting. Yeah. Um, it's been a long time. And he was even working on. So Dan and Dave kicked him off of working on Game of Thrones because, he wanted them to tell his story, and they did not want to do that. So instead of just going back and working on Winds of Winter, he decided to work on getting like all of these spin-off shows, especially this one. This was the one that he wanted, and I think HBO originally told him no. Uh, and then they had the failed what was it? The Long Night prequel. That was, I think they spent like $30 million on just the pilot, and it failed. And then it caused the studio to shut down. They had to like completely restart looking at all the prequels again. Oh. But instead of just working on Wins, he decided to pursue this prequel. The writers lack world experience and self-awareness. All right. Good night, Nerdporial life form. Have a good night, man. All right. The one I'm listening to is wonderful voice acting and has music for people. Oh, okay. Yeah. Ooh. But yeah, back to the episode. There was a lot of like really good moments. Like you had like Daemon come into the city with a crown on his head and like looking all proud. And he looks at his brother and he goes, the sea snake went home, but I came here because I recognize that there's only one true king in Westeros," and he bows and it's like, oh, that's awesome. Because then you have this big brotherly moment, and they have a big like feast or something, and I guess it was in the Godswood. It's very nice. It's kind of weird how it clashes with like how it starts and how it ends. Um, yeah, dude, I really like Matt Smith as Daemon Targaryen. He's doing fantastic. But Paddy Constantine is really growing on me as King Viserys. I see what he wants to do, and I feel for him when he doesn't get to while he's like struggling to try and put everything right. But man, he has way more patience than me. If I had a kid like Rhaenyra, I would have just I would have turned her away. I would have said, you know what? If you can't behave, like you're not gonna be my heir. Like that's probably pretty harsh. Oh, and there was this one line in there, and she was like, "If I was a guy, I could have laid with all sorts of whores, and and then and still would be your heir, and nobody would look down on me." And I heavily disagree with that. Like, I mean, how many people look down at like Ned Stark for having a bastard? How many people like talked about how many bastards Robert had? Like, it's not something that you're like that does tarnish your name and your honor, even in Westeros. It's not like uh, it's not something that's just there. It is frowned upon for everybody. Uh, the only difference is that it like if you get pregnant, uh, first off, that's bad for your marriage because it's bad for if a guy got caught doing that, he would be shunned still too. I mean, but like you would already have one son, which puts you at a risk. Like the the first big problem in this series was Queen Emma dying of childbirth, and like you're just gonna go and do the do the dirty, even though it could cause you to die like your mother. Oh, don't worry. I guess he'll just drink Moon's tea. Or, no. Oh, yeah. I think that's the only little parts that I didn't like of that, and having this so much nudity it was. Uh, I don't know if that was necessary, but I don't know. That's what that director wanted to do. Yeah, there's that as well. If you're, oh, dang it, I'm forgetting the word. But if you're like sleeping around when you're not married, what's stopping you from having? What's stopping you from like cheating on your husband and having somebody else's kid? You know, don't need a bunch of like Joffreys or anything. You don't want to have a bunch of. You don't want somebody else to take over your seat as a. Yeah, that's the one. Thank you, man. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I guess streaming just makes you forget stuff. Um, yeah, I don't know. I like the like. Actually, I think every character in this had some sort of an arc, and I think that's, I mean, quite a feat to do in an hour. and show like how many people? I don't know, about 10, right? Got Damon, King Viserys, Rhaenyra, um, dang it, I forgot everybody else. I don't know. You have Alicent Hightower, Otto Hightower, um, I don't know, a few others. They all sort of grow and change. I think that's quite impressive, especially with all the other shows we've been seeing. And they can't even do any character growth in a whole season or 3 episodes. Looking at you, Rings of Power. Uh, yeah, Kristen Cole. So I think we're supposed to like Rhaenyra, and I want to. She seems like a fun person, but then she does like some really stupid, headstrong thing. It's kind of like, do I want to be rooting for you? Like with Daemon Targaryen, you know he's gonna do some bad stuff, but you're like, it'll probably be fun on the way. But I feel like Rhaenyra is supposed to be our like main protagonist in this. But I'd rather her um, be acting like this than be just a Mary Sue. Hail, my friend. How are you doing? Um, yeah, for her punishment, I mean, not only did did she so she did whatever she did with Damon. I guess they said he couldn't get it up or something, and he ran away. And then she does that with Kristen Cole. And then she goes and lies about it to Alicent Hightower. Then she goes and lies about it to the king. And the king's like, you know what? For your punishment, I'm gonna pick your husband, okay? Like that feels like you're getting off pretty easy. And the king, I guess the king didn't even believe her because he sends her Moon's tea. Hmm. But actually, I really like the model of Valeria that the king is always just like looking at and admiring and playing with. Uh, that's gonna come back to haunt her. I hope so. Uh, yeah, jumping back to Damon, I really liked his. I don't know. He has this weird motive of he kind of has a thing for his niece, but he also wants the Iron Throne, and these two things are like now overlapping, and you're not sure which one is the real thing that he wants. Like I'm not sure if they got married, if he wouldn't like I don't know have a few kids with her, and then just like kill her so he can take the Iron Throne. But also, he does have some sort of a impactful relationship with her. Like they sit and talk uh, for a long time, and he takes her out and shows her the city, and then and then bad stuff happens. But I was just so mad that Damon. So what if I? Yeah. Oh. Yeah. There was a bunch of people on Twitter that were taking the line from the last episode. And they're like, "A man will make me happy," and then she gets told that she gets to pick her own patrol person. Dang it. Her own just her own husband, whatever the word is. uh then she like smiles and they're all like, "Oh my goodness, she wants to marry Alicent," or "Oh my goodness, she wants to get her uncle," or there's a there's a feud I was seeing on Twitter whether she was wanting Alicent or her uncle. I, I'm betting that that'll probably come up later on after the Dance with Dragons gets going. Um, I really hate to. I'm really hating being. I'm really beginning to hate Otto Hightower. So I don't know. I don't know. I like seeing him like scheme and like try and manipulate. But I don't know. In this episode, the king was kind of like, "Do you not think I know what you're trying to do, man?" Like, I thought that was an interesting moment. I Dude, when King Viserys takes the pendant off of his shirt, off of Otto's shirt, you can see how like hurt the actor is. He's like shocked. He's like, "Oh my goodness!" Like, he has no idea what to do. Like that. I think the actor makes the part of like an antagonistic conspirer kind like enjoyable. Oh, I love the Blackwood boy. Yeah, that was that was pretty interesting. Uh, like he walks up and it's like, "We were one of the first houses to bow to you. You know, if you would do me the honor, well, I will love and protect you." And then the dude is like, "Boo! Get out of here. You're just a kid." He draws his sword and just like kills the guy, like no hesitation. Oh man. Which I'm kind of surprised Rhaenyra wasn't like, why don't you walk with me? Because like that's kind of impressive. Like she would like that kind of wild thing, I would think. Princess and your brother did stuff. Whoops. Just hit my knee. Um yeah, and then the king is like, tell me tell me who your source is so I can go kill them and take their eyes. I'm surprised he didn't just say that he has little birds everywhere, kind of be like a Varys. Yeah, he's doing really good. Um, so we see that he's still in the next episode, but I have no idea like what he's doing. Like, did he get a different seat on the small council, or is he just like hanging out with his daughter? I guess. I mean, it's not like he has any like holdings or anything. Yeah. Oh, she calls out that the old guy who was trying to be like real nice and be like, "Oh, my castle is so beautiful. Even your ancestor, the dang it, I'm blanking on her name. Oh man, but the that queen that flew around all of Westeros. Shoot, I know it. It's in the Storm of no. It's in actually yeah. It's in Storm of Swords. It's in that place where John and Bran were. It was it doesn't matter. Anyway, it's going on and on. It's like even your ancestor or whatever her name was thought it was one of the most beautiful castles she'd ever seen. And she's like, "Wow, did you tell her that yourself?" And he's like, "Oh, it was a century ago." She's like, "Yeah, and it's rude for you to think that you're good enough for me because you're so old." Like, how does she think she's gonna be, the queen of Westeros when she treats all of the the lords like this? Like, I don't know. She's in the books. He is dismissed for asking for the boy to be named heir, but he is eventually recalled. His brother is the third richest. Richest. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the high towers have a lot of power. Like they own they basically own Old Town, and they decide who gets to be like maesters and who gets to be the septons, and like there's plenty of stuff he could do, but I don't know. I'm just talking. Um, yeah, said it was unseemly because he was so old. I think it's interesting. House Hightower as a sponsor of the Maesters. Yeah, I feel like they could be like the Maesters could be working to try and put a certain Hightower heir on the Iron Throne. They might be working to disrupt Viserys' reign or something. I don't know. I don't know how that fits in with the Maester conspiracy. Let me think. I don't know if it said how many years he's been hand. It said he's been hand for 2 kings, though. Hand for Jaehaerys and hand for Viserys. And create a Targaryen civil war to destroy the dragons. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Maesters really like the dragons. I think they don't like a lot of the magic in Westeros because it's not like quantifiable. Like these people want to be the doctors, the thinkers, the advisors, they want to work with absolutes. Like, you have this many men, and you need this many men to hold a fort. You know, need me to write this letter to ask this lord for help. But like with magic, it's something that they can't control. But just like how Otto Hightower is manipulating Viserys and giving him like nudges into a different direction. I think that the Maesters could be doing that for. They would want to be in charge of like all of the lords to be able to do that to them. You can keep the realm at peace like that. If you're always telling the Lord that, war is not the right time. It seems like winter is coming fairly shortly. It seems like a short summer. Or just, shove them in one direction or another. If somebody's getting too close to the truth, you can say, why don't you do this? And X out of that. Yeah, I mean, overall, I did really like this episode. I'm looking forward to talking about it more tomorrow over on Sporking News Podcast. I guess we can just skip a large portion of it because can't show that stuff on YouTube. Yeah, like there's a lot of like, you can nitpick the problems, but most of the problems I'm talking about, I'm having a fun time talking about because this is a pretty good show. I'm still not gonna say I recommend anybody watch this yet because I'm gonna wait till the end of the season. But so far we're looking really good. I think episode 2 was probably the worst of the bunch we've had, but that was just because it was like, I don't know, it was slowly paced and they were trying to put a lot into it, and then they did a 3-year jump or something like that at the end, right? Is that right? I think so. That's what I'm going with. Trailer for next week looks pretty good. Yeah. I was worried they were going to give us like an action episode and then like go back and like slow it down, put way more plot driven, and then put more like build back up to it. But no, it looks really good. Looks like things are heating up. So King Viserys talks to Alicent Hightower, or he invites her to his room, and they get it on. You can see his back, and it's just all like scarred up, and he has all these different like just injuries all over his like arms and back. It looks real nasty. And then right after, he just like falls over and is asleep. I don't know. It was just really interesting to see all of his like injuries. But Alicent Hightower was not very entertained. She looked very bored in this in that scene. Yeah, it feels so nice to have a show that you're excited to see every week. It's really wonderful. something took for granted a long time ago. Let me think. I think that's all I have for this episode. Overall, very enjoyable. A few things I didn't like, but I mean, as long as it stays giving me episodes like, well, not quite exactly like this. That's not what I meant. But just like as long as it's in the same like quality as the rest of them have been, I'm happy with this series. I'm very excited to see next week. All right. Good night, y'all. I'll see you later, Shane. I guess I'll see you. I think you said you're looking at. You're gonna be watching the stream tomorrow. So hopefully I'll see you in the chat there. Yeah. Good night, y'all. Bye for now. Peace. Dang it. Dang it. There we go.